Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Something important happened in the world. It was on the day of June 21, in the year 2025. News came very fast. The United States of America used its military planes to make attacks in the country of Iran. These attacks were not random. They were on places that the U.S. said were used for Iran's nuclear work. People all over the world heard the news right away. They were surprised. They turned on their televisions and looked at the internet. They wanted to know more. Many people felt worried about what this attack meant. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, spoke to everyone on television. His speech was watched by many people. He told the country about the attacks. He said the U.S. planes hit the nuclear places in Iran. He said the mission was successful. President Trump explained that the U.S. needed to do this to protect itself and its friends. He spoke about the dangers of Iran's nuclear program. People listened closely to his words. They were thinking about the future. The attack involved special U.S. military planes. These planes flew over the sea and land to reach Iran. They carried very strong bombs. They dropped these bombs on 3 specific places in Iran. These places were named Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. The U.S. government said these were key sites where Iran was working on things that could be used to make nuclear weapons. The goal was to stop this work. This event on June 21, 2025, was a big change. It showed that the problems between the U.S. and Iran were very serious. It made people think about the possibility of a larger conflict. Many countries reacted to the news. Some understood the U.S. action, while others did not agree. Everyone wondered how Iran would respond and what would happen next in the Middle East and the world. This attack was a major moment in modern history. 2. Why the U.S. attacked. U.S. officials provided their reasons for the attack. They stated clearly that Iran was getting very close to having a nuclear weapon. This situation was a major and urgent concern for the United States government. Officials explained that Iran's nuclear work had moved forward rapidly. They said Iran had enriched uranium to very high levels. This highly enriched uranium is material that can be used directly for making nuclear bombs. The United States believed Iran was nearing a point called breakout capability, meaning it could quickly build a weapon. After attempts at talks did not succeed, the United States decided action was needed immediately to prevent this. 3 specific nuclear facilities in Iran were targeted in the strike. The first was the Fordow facility. This site is built very deep underground and under a mountain for strong protection. This design makes it extremely hard for standard weapons to reach and damage effectively. The second target was the Natanz facility. This is a large and important complex, also partly underground, used for enriching large amounts of uranium. The third facility hit was located near the city of Isfahan. This site is involved in processing the raw uranium before it can be enriched. The U.S. considered these three sites essential parts of Iran's ability to create a nuclear weapon. To successfully hit these well-protected, underground locations, the U.S. military used specialized forces and advanced weapons. Large aircraft known as B-2 stealth bombers were used. These planes are designed to fly without being easily detected by radar systems. The B-2 bombers carried extremely powerful and heavy bombs. These bombs weigh 30,000 pounds. They are specifically designed as bunker busters because they can penetrate hard ground and reinforced concrete structures deep underground before exploding. A B-2 bomber was used to drop one of these massive bombs specifically on the Fordo site due to its deep protection. In addition to the bombers, other advanced weapons were employed. The United States military launched missiles known as Tomahawk missiles. These missiles were fired from U.S. submarines positioned quietly at sea. The Tomahawk missiles were aimed at the Natanz and Isfahan facilities. Following the completion of the operation, the U.S. military reported that all its aircraft returned safely. They also stated that the attack was successful in damaging the target locations. The U.S. government described the attack as a necessary action taken to reduce the danger of Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon. 3. Tension grows. The problems did not start only on June 21 when the U.S. attacked. Days before this, tension was already very high and growing fast. For more than 1 week before the U.S. military action, Israel launched many attacks against Iran. Israeli aircraft flew long distances, going deep into Iran's country. They used powerful bombs to target specific buildings and underground sites. Israeli leaders publicly stated these attacks were necessary steps. They said, "The goal was to make sure Iran could not get nuclear weapons." Israel felt this was a matter of great importance for its safety. Iran did not stay silent after being attacked. The government in Iran quickly decided to fight back. Iran used its own military power, sending missiles and flying machines called drones. These weapons were aimed at the country of Israel. Some of these missiles and drones reached Israeli land. This fighting back and forth between Israel and Iran made the situation much more difficult and dangerous. The level of conflict increased with each attack and response. Seeing the growing danger of a large war, the United States government tried to find a different path. Diplomats from the U.S. worked quietly behind the scenes. They held secret discussions with people who had connections to the Iranian government. These talks were not official public meetings. They were private talks that happened during the month of June. The U.S. diplomats hoped these discussions could help stop the fighting from getting worse. They wanted to prevent a bigger war. However, these secret talks did not solve the problem. Iran refused to agree to the U.S. demands about stopping its nuclear program completely. The tension remained high. At the same time, people who work as spies for the United States were watching everything closely. U.S. intelligence officers gathered a lot of information about Iran's nuclear activities. They sent urgent warnings back to the leaders in the U.S. government. The spies reported that Iran was moving very quickly. They said Iran was making nuclear material, enriching uranium to a very high level. This level of purity is very close to the material needed to build nuclear bombs. These warnings from U.S. spies were seen as extremely serious and worrying. Israel also strongly pushed the United States to act. Israeli leaders had many talks with high-level officials at the White House. They shared their deep concerns about how fast Iran was working on its nuclear program. Israel told the U.S. government that Iran was a major and immediate threat. They asked President Trump and his advisors to take military action. Israel wanted the United States to join them in attacking Iran's nuclear sites. Israel believed a U.S. attack was the only way to effectively stop Iran's dangerous progress. This chain of events, starting with Israel's attacks, followed by Iran's responses, the private but failed talks, the alarming warnings from U.S. spies, and Israel's strong request for American help, all happened in the days leading up to June 21st. They clearly show how the tension and danger built up greatly. The situation in the Middle East became extremely tense. This very high tension, combined with the information about Iran's nuclear work and Israel's request, led directly to the United States making the big decision to attack Iran's nuclear places on that specific day. 4. The U.S. explains. After the attacks, the United States government spoke to the world. President Donald Trump gave a speech on television. He said the attacks on the nuclear sites were very successful. He told people that the places were destroyed. President Trump said the U.S. wanted peace, but Iran could face tremendous destruction. He asked Iran to end this war. Other important people in the U.S. government also shared their thoughts. The Vice President, J.D. Vance, spoke later. He talked about what the U.S. did. Many politicians in America had opinions. Some politicians supported the attacks. They said it was the right thing to do. They called it a careful action. For example, Jim Risch, who was important in the Senate, said it was a precise, limited strike. He also said U.S. soldiers would not go into Iran. But some other politicians were not sure. They asked if the president needed permission from Congress before attacking. Some thought the attack was not legal. One politician, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, wrote that bombing Iran without permission was wrong and a serious problem for the country's laws. The U.S. military also talked to people in Congress. They told the lawmakers about the operation. The military explained that only the 3 nuclear sites were hit. They said the U.S. was not planning to change the government in Iran. A U.S. official later said that the Fordow site was badly damaged and could not be used. News reports the next day said that no American soldiers were hurt during the attacks. The U.S. government tried to tell everyone that the action was finished and successful. But many people still had questions about what would happen next. 5. Iran's strong words. After the United States attacked, leaders in Iran reacted with very strong words. They clearly said they were against the U.S. military action. It was a strong message of anger and disagreement. The top leader in Iran, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, gave a serious warning. He said that the United States would suffer great harm if it continued its attacks. Saeed Baghai, who speaks for Iran's foreign ministry, also gave a strong statement. He said that the U.S. getting involved with military force was like preparing the ground for a complete war across the whole region. Iran stated clearly that it would respond to the attacks. They promised to take revenge. Iranian state television showed images of where U.S. military forces are based in the area. The pictures carried a message: Iran has weapons that can reach these places. This was a direct way to show that Iran could strike back and was not afraid. Iran also insisted that the U.S. attacks would not stop its nuclear work. The organization in charge of nuclear energy in Iran said that making progress in nuclear technology would not stop. They were determined to continue their program. Some reports in Iran suggested that the U.S. bombs did not cause major damage to the most important parts of their nuclear sites. Countries and groups friendly to Iran also stood with Iran. They spoke against the U.S. action and offered their support. Some of these allies also made threats. For example, the Houthi militia in Yemen, a group supported by Iran, warned that they would start attacking ships belonging to the U.S. and its friends again in the Red Sea. This showed how the problem could quickly spread to other areas. Inside Iran, some important people started talking about a very serious action. They thought about leaving an international treaty about nuclear weapons. This treaty is called the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT. Countries that sign it agree not to make or get nuclear weapons and to accept checks on their nuclear work. Leaving the NPT would mean Iran would not follow these rules anymore, which would worry many countries. In the days right after the attack, Iran made more shows of its military strength. State television broadcasts showed tests of new Iranian missiles. The Iranian military also held training exercises that seemed to practice attacking U.S. military locations. These actions were clear signals that Iran was ready to fight and would stand against the U.S. The situation became even more tense, and the future was uncertain. 6. Israel's reaction. In Israel, many people felt relief and happiness after the United States attacked Iran's nuclear sites. The Israeli government also felt this way. Leaders in Israel said very good things about the action and praised the United States for acting strongly. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke about the attack. He praised President Donald Trump for his decision. Prime Minister Netanyahu called it a bold decision, meaning brave. He said that the United States did something very important that no other country could do. He said this attack helped stop a big danger to Israel. Officials in Israel believed this attack was very needed. They saw it as stopping Iran from getting nuclear weapons quickly. For Israel, this was a very serious problem and a big danger to its survival. Stopping Iran's nuclear threat is key for Israel to be safe. The attack on the Fordow site was seen as especially important. This place was deep underground and hard to destroy without special bombs. Israeli planners thought hitting this site was necessary to stop Iran's most dangerous nuclear work. The government of Israel saw the U.S. action as strong support. It showed that the United States would help protect Israel. Media in Israel agreed, saying President Trump's decision proved the U.S. would defend Israel at an important time. Many ordinary citizens also felt this support and more safety. People discussed the news, feeling thankful for the American help and the powerful bombs. However, some experts in Israel were still worried about the future. They said that Iran's nuclear program is difficult to stop forever. These experts thought Iran might build its program again after this attack. They felt this attack might only delay Iran's plans for some time, maybe not end them completely. So some people in Israel still had concerns about what could happen next. 7. What other countries say. People around the world watched the news. Countries had different ideas about the U.S. attacks on Iran. The United Nations is an important group for countries to talk. Its leader, the Secretary General, said he was very worried. He said using military force was dangerous. He asked everyone to be calm and not make things worse. He said fighting with armies is not the answer to this problem. Many countries are friends with the United States. They also spoke. They said they wanted peace. They asked Iran and the U.S. to stop fighting and talk instead. For example, the country of Mexico said talking was important. They wanted things to become less dangerous. Even countries that are usually friends with the U.S. in Europe asked for calm talks. Other countries are friends with Iran. They were very angry about the attacks. They said the U.S. was wrong to do this. The country of Russia warned the U.S. not to attack Iran's nuclear places. Russia said it could cause big problems and make the Middle East region unstable. Russia also thought the price of oil around the world might go up because of the problems. This could help Russia. The country of China said it was also very worried. China asked for everyone to be calm, like the United Nations leader did. China said the attacks could have serious bad results. Some countries in Central and South America, like Venezuela and Cuba, said the U.S. attacks were military actions against Iran. They said this was against international rules. In the Middle East, countries like Saudi Arabia and Egypt, who are friends with the US and Israel, did not say much in public. But they quietly supported the idea of keeping Israel safe. Big groups of countries, like NATO and the European Union, also asked for calm and talks between the sides. This event made people think about oil prices. When there is trouble in the Middle East, the price of oil can go higher. People expected the price of oil might increase by a lot because of the attacks and the worry about more fighting. A wider war in the area could make oil prices very high. Iran has had a nuclear program for many years. In 2015, Iran and some big countries made a deal about it. The deal limited Iran's nuclear work. But in 2018, the president of the US, Donald Trump, left the deal. After that, Iran started doing more nuclear work, like enriching uranium to higher levels than the deal allowed. This made the US and other countries worried that Iran wanted a nuclear weapon. This history of Iran's program and the deal is important because it shows why different countries react the way they do now. Some countries wanted the deal to work. Others thought it was not strong enough. People who study these things, called experts, talked about the attacks. They said that hitting Iran's nuclear sites might not stop Iran forever. They think Iran has the knowledge to make nuclear things, and that knowledge cannot be destroyed by bombs. So destroying the buildings might only slow down Iran's program for some time. Some said it could delay it for months or maybe a few years, but they warned it might not end Iran's plans completely. 8. The future is unclear. After the attacks, people around the world asked many questions. What will happen next? Nobody was sure. The future looked unclear. One big question was about fighting. Will the conflict stop now, or will it get worse? Some leaders hoped for talks. The United States said they did not plan more attacks right away. President Trump said he wanted new talks with Iran. But leaders in Iran sounded angry. They said they would respond. Iran said they would not stop their nuclear work. Allies of Iran also made threats. Israel said its military was ready for a long conflict. There was a serious risk of more fighting. This event will change the Middle East. The tension between countries is now higher. Countries in the region worry about their safety. There could be attacks from groups supported by Iran. These groups might attack U.S. forces in the region. They might also attack ships. This could make it hard to move oil and other goods. The attacks also affect the whole world. They change how countries feel about each other. Global safety is now a bigger concern. Oil prices might go up because of the risk in the Middle East. Countries like Russia and China might work more closely with Iran. Many experts think this event is very important. It could lead to more problems. It is not clear if talks can start soon. It is not clear if the fighting will grow bigger. The situation is difficult and could change fast. Everyone is watching to see what happens next. What do you think will happen in the Middle East now?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.